My son sold my house. You're going to be so poor, you'll have to beg even for money for pads. He laughed. His wife mocked. Hunger makes women behave better. An hour later, the lawyer called. She almost fainted in the living room. Hold on a moment before we move forward. Let us know where in the world you're watching from. And if you're loving these stories, don't forget to hit subscribe. Tomorrow's episode is going to be absolutely mind-blowing. I stood in my kitchen that Tuesday morning, October 15th, 2023, staring at an envelope that had arrived in the mail. My name was printed on the front, Dorothy Sullivan. But the return address made my stomach drop. King County Recorder's Office. Property transfer notice. I opened it with shaking hands. The paper inside was dense with legal language, but certain words jumped out at me. Sale of property. 2847 West Fairview Avenue. Transfer of deed completed. Seller, Kevin Michael Sullivan. Buyer, Cascade Property Holdings. LLC, sale price, $485,000. My house. The house Marcus and I bought in 1989 for $178,000. The house where we raised Kevin. The house Marcus died in 3 years ago. Sold. I hadn't signed anything. I would have remembered signing away my home. My phone was in my hand before I realized I'd picked it up. I dialed Kevin's number. It rang 4 times before he answered. Mom, what's up? His voice was flat, not a question. A statement of annoyance. Kevin, I just got a notice from the county. It says you sold the house. Silence on the line. Then a sigh. Yeah, I was going to tell you. My legs felt weak. I sat down hard in one of the kitchen chairs. The same chairs Marcus and I picked out at a yard sale in 1992. 21 years we'd eaten breakfast at this table. Tell me what exactly? I sold the house, Mom. We needed the money. You sold my house. It's been in my name for 2 years. Dad put it in my name before he died, remember? For tax purposes. I did remember. Marcus had explained it to me in April of 2021, a month after the funeral. I was still barely functioning, still crying every morning when I woke up and remembered he was gone. Kevin had brought over papers. He said it would help with estate taxes, that I could live there as long as I wanted, that nothing would change. You said nothing would change. Things change, Mom. Vanessa and I have been struggling. The market was good. I got a decent offer. Where am I supposed to go? Another sigh. Longer this time. We'll figure something out. Maybe you can stay with Aunt Linda for a while. Linda, my sister-in-law who I hadn't spoken to in 6 months, after she sided with her daughter in a fight about Thanksgiving plans. Linda, who lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Spokane Valley and could barely take care of her 3 cats. Kevin, this is my home. Was your home, Mom. Look, I don't have time for this right now. I'm at work. We'll talk about it later. He hung up. I sat there holding the phone for a long time. The kitchen smelled like the coffee I'd made that morning. I could see the corner of the backyard through the window. The apple tree Marcus planted the year Kevin was born. 42 years old now, the same age as my son. I should have called someone, a friend, a lawyer, someone who could tell me this wasn't real. Instead, I just sat there, watching the October sunlight move across the kitchen floor. The doorbell rang at 2:30 p.m. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, Kevin stood on the porch. Vanessa was with him. Vanessa, 38 years old, blonde hair that cost $300 every 6 weeks to maintain. Nails that clicked against her phone screen when she texted. She'd been married to my son for 11 years. In that time, I'd watched her systematically erase every trace of who Kevin used to be. The boy who loved hiking, who read science fiction novels, who called me every Sunday just to talk. That boy was gone. In his place was this hollow version, this man who avoided eye contact with his own mother. "Can we come in?" Kevin asked. I stepped back. They walked past me into the living room. Vanessa wrinkled her nose slightly. She always did that, as if my house smelled bad. It didn't. I kept it clean. I'd scrubbed the floors just yesterday. Kevin stood with his hands in his pockets. Vanessa sat on the couch, crossing her legs. She was wearing heels, in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon, to come to her mother-in-law's house. "Mom, we need to talk about the transition." "Transition?" "Moving out. The new owners want to close by November 1st. That's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. To pack up 34 years of my life. To leave the home where I'd raised my child, buried my husband, built every memory that mattered. "I don't have anywhere to go." Vanessa laughed, actually laughed. A short, sharp sound like breaking glass. "Oh, come on, Dorothy. You're being dramatic." I looked at her. Really looked at her. The designer purse on her lap probably cost more than my monthly Social Security check. The watch on her wrist. The shoes. Where had the money come from? Kevin had lost his real estate license 2 years ago after some complaint from a client. He'd been working odd jobs since then. Security guard. Delivery driver. Nothing that paid well. "Where did you get the money for those shoes?" I asked. Vanessa's smile tightened. "Excuse me?" "Your shoes. They're Louboutins, aren't they? Those cost at least $800. "I don't see how that's your business." "My house just got sold for $485,000. That's my business." Kevin shifted his weight. "Mom, the money from the sale is ours. The house was in my name. Because I trusted you. Because Dad wanted me to have it." That hurt. Marcus had loved Kevin so much, had worked himself sick trying to provide for us. 50-hour weeks as an architect, taking on extra projects, skipping vacations. Also, Kevin could have a good life, go to college, have opportunities. And this was how Kevin honored that sacrifice. "Your father would be ashamed," I said quietly. Kevin's face went red. "Don't talk about what Dad would want. You don't know." "I was married to him for 40 years. I think I know." Vanessa stood up. "Okay, this is getting us nowhere. Dorothy, here's the reality. You need to be out by November 1st. We're not responsible for finding you a place. You're a grown woman. Figure it out." "Where am I supposed to get first month's rent and a deposit? I get $1,047 a month from Social Security. That's barely enough to cover rent anywhere in Spokane." "Maybe you should have planned better," Vanessa said. "Saved more money instead of relying on your son. I gave you everything. I gave Kevin the money from Marcus's life insurance. I helped pay for your wedding. I babysat. We never asked you to do any of that." Kevin interrupted. That stopped me. Because it was true. They'd never asked. I'd offered. Over and over. Desperate to be needed. Desperate to be part of their lives. "You're my son. And you're suffocating, Mom. You always have been. Showing up unannounced. Calling 3 times a day. Volunteering to help when nobody asked. It's exhausting." Each word landed like a punch. I felt something break inside my chest. Not my heart. Something deeper. The part of me that had believed my son loved me. "I see," I managed. Vanessa checked her phone. "We should go. The realtor wants to do a final walkthrough on Friday." "One more thing," Kevin said. He pulled a piece of paper from his pocket. "I need you to sign this. It says you acknowledge the sale and that you're moving out voluntarily. The buyers want everything in writing." He held out the paper. I didn't take it. "Sign it, Mom. And if I don't," his jaw tightened, "then I'll have the sheriff serve you with an eviction notice. Is that what you want? To be escorted out by police?" I took the paper. Read it. It was exactly what he'd said. An acknowledgement. A surrender. "Do you have a pen?" I asked. Vanessa handed me one from her purse. I signed my name. Dorothy Sullivan. The handwriting looked shaky. Old. "Thank you," Kevin said. He took the paper back, folded it, put it in his pocket. They left. Vanessa's heels clicked on the hardwood floor Marcus installed himself in 1995. The door closed behind them. I stood in my living room. The afternoon light was fading. Soon it would be evening, then night, then another day, and another after that, and in 2 weeks I would have to leave. I walked into the kitchen and sat down at the table. I should cry. That's what people do when their lives fall apart. But I couldn't. The tears wouldn't come. There was just this hollow feeling, this certainty that everything I'd believed about my family, about my son, about my place in the world, had been a lie. My phone rang. I looked at the screen. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Mrs. Sullivan?" A man's voice, professional. "This is Robert Chen. I'm calling from Chen and Associates. I was your late husband's attorney." "I remember you," I said. Marcus had used Robert's firm for years. He'd handled the will, the estate paperwork after the funeral. "I need to see you as soon as possible. Alone. It's about something Marcus left for you. Something I was instructed not to mention until certain conditions were met." My mouth went dry. "What conditions?" "If Kevin sold the house without your genuine consent." Marcus anticipated this possibility. The room seemed to tilt. "What are you talking about?" "I can't discuss it over the phone. Can you come to my office tomorrow morning? 9 a.m. Yes, I can. Come alone, Mrs. Sullivan. This is confidential. And Dorothy? Yes. Don't sign anything else. Don't agree to anything, not until we talk." He hung up. I sat there in the darkening kitchen staring at my phone. Marcus had anticipated this, had known somehow that Kevin might betray me, had left something, protection, a plan. For the first time since opening that envelope this morning, I felt something other than despair. I felt hope. Robert Chen's office was in a modest building downtown, 3rd floor, corner suite. I arrived 15 minutes early on Wednesday morning. The receptionist offered me coffee. I declined. My stomach was already churning. At exactly 9 a.m., Robert opened his door. He was 55, maybe 56. Gray at the temples, wire-rimmed glasses. He'd worn a dark suit to Marcus's funeral. Today he wore the same one, or one just like it. "Mrs. Sullivan, please, come in." His office was neat, organized. Bookshelves lined one wall, legal volumes with worn spines. A window looked out over West Spokane. I could see the courthouse from here. "Thank you for coming," Robert said, closing the door. "I know this must be confusing. My husband has been dead for 3 years. You're telling me he left something I don't know about. Not just something, a complete failsafe." Robert sat behind his desk, pulled out a file. Thick. My name was typed on the tab. "Marcus came to see me in March of 2021, 3 weeks before he died. He was very clear about his concerns." "What concerns?" "Your son's marriage, Vanessa's influence. Marcus had noticed changes in Kevin, the way he spoke to you, the distance. He was worried." I remembered those last weeks with Marcus, the hospice bed in our living room, the morphine that made him drift in and out, but there had been moments of clarity, times when his eyes focused and he squeezed my hand and told me he loved me. "He never said anything to me. He didn't want to upset you. You were his priority, making sure you'd be protected." Robert opened the file. "He asked me to help him create a plan. It took some maneuvering, but we accomplished it." He slid a document across the desk. "Trust agreement. My name at the top. Dorothy Ann Sullivan, beneficiary. 2 weeks before Marcus died, he transferred $890,000 into an irrevocable trust in your name. The money came from his retirement accounts, some investments he'd made over the years, and a life insurance policy you didn't know about." I stared at the numbers. $890,000. Nearly $1 million. I don't understand. Where did all this come from? Marcus was very good with money, Mrs. Sullivan. Very careful. He never touched the principal on his retirement. Let it compound for decades. The life insurance was a policy he took out when Kevin was born and never cashed in. He wanted you to have security. But the house, he put the house in Kevin's name. Robert nodded. That was the test. Marcus suspected Vanessa was manipulating Kevin. He'd seen signs, the expensive purchases, the way she talked about money, about you. Robert leaned forward. He transferred the house to Kevin with one condition, verbally agreed but never documented, that you could live there as long as you wanted. He told Kevin this was his inheritance, his responsibility. Kevin sold it. Exactly. Marcus predicted this might happen. He told me, if Kevin sells that house while Dorothy is still living, it means he's chosen money over his mother. It means Vanessa has won. The trust was his way of making sure you'd be okay when that happened. I felt dizzy. Marcus knew. He knew Kevin would do this. He hoped Kevin wouldn't, but he planned for the possibility. Robert pulled out another document. There's more. The trust includes specific instructions. You're the sole beneficiary. The money is yours to use as you see fit. But there's a video. A video? Robert turned his laptop around. On the screen was a frozen image. Marcus, sitting in this very office. His face was thin, gray. This was filmed near the end. Robert pressed play. Marcus looked directly into the camera. Dorothy, my love. If you're watching this, it means Kevin sold the house. It means things went the way I feared they might. He paused, took a breath. Even on video, I could see how much effort it cost him. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I won't be there to protect you from this. But I've done what I can. Tears ran down my face. I couldn't stop them. The money in the trust is yours, Marcus continued. All of it. Robert will help you access it. But I want you to listen carefully. Kevin is lost right now. Vanessa has gotten her hooks into him deep. He can't see clearly, but he's still our son. Somewhere inside, he's still the boy we raised. Marcus coughed. Off camera, someone handed him water. Don't let him know about the money right away. Let him think you're struggling. Let him see what kind of man he's become when he thinks you have nothing. And Dorothy, whatever he does, whatever he says, remember this. You are not alone. You are not helpless. You have power. Use it wisely. The video ended. The office was quiet except for the sound of me crying. I'm sorry, Robert said softly. I know this is a lot. He knew. He knew I'd need this. He loved you very much, Mrs. Sullivan. I wiped my face with a tissue from the box Robert pushed across the desk. What do I do now? That's up to you. The trust is active. I can have funds transferred to your account within 24 hours. You can rent an apartment, buy a house, whatever you need. Kevin thinks I'm broke. Yes. And you think I should let him keep thinking that? Robert adjusted his glasses. I think Marcus had good instincts about people, including his son. If Kevin believes you're destitute, you'll see his true character. And Vanessa's. My phone buzzed. A text from Kevin. Mom, need you to come by the house tomorrow at 10. Have something to discuss. I showed Robert the message. Are you going to go? Yes, I said. I want to see what he does next. I left Robert's office at 10:30. The sun was bright. Cold October air bit at my face. I walked to my car, the 12-year-old Honda Civic Marcus and I bought used. It still ran fine. I'd kept up with the maintenance. I sat in the driver's seat and called the Quality Inn in Spokane Valley. I need a room. Monthly rate if you have it. They did. $890 a month. Room 214. I could move in today. I'll take it. I drove back to the house on Fairview Avenue. My house. Not anymore, I had to remind myself. In 12 days, someone else would own it. I started packing. Not much. Clothes, photos. Marcus's reading glasses, still on his nightstand. I couldn't bring myself to move them after he died. The book he'd been reading, a biography of Frank Lloyd Wright, bookmark still on page 347. My phone rang at 3 p.m. Vanessa. Dorothy, hi. Kevin mentioned he texted you about tomorrow. He did. Great. So we wanted to talk to you about something. Since you're moving out and we got such a good price for the house, we thought maybe you could help us with the new place. Help you. Just some cleaning, light housework. We've been so busy with everything. And the apartment is a mess. It would only take you a few hours. Tomorrow morning before you meet with Kevin. I held the phone away from my ear for a moment, breathed, put it back. You want me to clean your apartment? Well, you always kept such a nice house, and you have the time now, right? I mean, it's not like you're working or anything. No, I'm not working. Perfect. So tomorrow, 8 a.m. I'll leave the key under the mat. We'll be out, but you know where everything is. She hung up before I could respond. I sat on the edge of my bed. The bed I'd shared with Marcus for 40 years. The mattress we bought in 2003. It sagged on his side. I'd never replaced it. Couldn't stand the thought of sleeping on something that didn't remember him. Vanessa wanted me to clean her house. My son's wife wanted me to scrub her toilets. I thought about the $890,000 sitting in Robert Chen's office. I thought about Marcus's face on that video, his voice saying, "Let him see what kind of man he's become." I picked up my phone and texted Vanessa back. I'll be there at 8. The next morning, Thursday, I drove to Kevin and Vanessa's apartment. North Division, a complex with peeling paint and cars on blocks in the parking lot. They'd been living here for 6 months, since Kevin lost his real estate license. Before that, they'd had a house, a nice one. They'd lost that too. The key was under the mat like Vanessa promised. I let myself in. The apartment was worse than a mess. It was filthy. Dishes piled in the sink, some with food dried so hard I'd need to soak them. Trash overflowing. The bathroom made my stomach turn. When was the last time someone cleaned the toilet? I found cleaning supplies under the kitchen sink. Started with the dishes. It took 45 minutes just to clear the counter. I was scrubbing the stove when I noticed a stack of papers on the kitchen table. Bills, mostly. Credit card statements. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. Capital One. Balance, $23,47. Minimum payment past due. Discover. Balance, $18,93. 60 days past due. And underneath those, something else. A receipt. Silver Reef Casino. October 3rd, 2023. Loss, $8,400. Another one. October 8th. Loss, $6,200. 5 more receipts. All from the same casino. All losses. I added them up in my head. $34,500 in 2 weeks. Vanessa had a gambling problem. I heard the door open. Footsteps. Kevin appeared in the kitchen doorway. "Mom, you came." Vanessa asked me to clean. He looked around. Didn't quite meet my eyes. "Yeah, we've been busy." "I can see that. Listen, about the meeting. Vanessa and I talked. We want to help you out. Help me. With the transition. We know you don't have much money. So we thought, maybe you could stay with us for a while. Just until you get on your feet." I looked at him. My son, 42 years old, gray in his beard, and lines around his eyes that hadn't been there 5 years ago. "Stay here." "Yeah. We'd charge you rent, obviously. Just $600 a month. That's fair, right? Way cheaper than an apartment. Where would I sleep?" "We'd set up a cot in the living room. It's not ideal, but it's temporary." A cot in their living room, paying $600 a month to sleep on a cot. "And in exchange," Kevin continued, "you could help out around the house, cooking, cleaning. Vanessa works really hard. She could use the support." "What about you? Do you work?" His face went red. "I'm between jobs right now. but I've got some leads. Kevin, are you and Vanessa having money problems? What? No. Why would you ask that? I gestured to the bills on the table. Those are pretty high balances. Stay out of our business, Mom. You're asking me to move in. That makes it my business. You know what? Forget it. Forget the whole thing. He turned to leave, then stopped. You're going to end up in some state-run nursing home. You know that, right? You're going to be so poor, you'll have to beg even for money for pads. He laughed. Actually laughed. And whose fault will that be? Vanessa's voice. She was standing in the hallway, arms crossed. You had everything handed to you, Dorothy. A house, a husband who worked himself to death for you. And what did you do? Nothing. You never worked a real job, never contributed, just coasted along. I felt something cold settle in my chest. I see. Hunger makes women behave better, Vanessa said. Maybe a few months of struggling will teach you some gratitude. I put down the sponge I'd been using to scrub their stove, walked to the door, turned back to look at them one last time. Thank you, I said. For what? Kevin asked. For showing me exactly who you are. I left, got in my car, drove to the Quality Inn and checked into room 214. It smelled like industrial cleaner and old cigarettes. The bedspread was brown. The carpet was stained. It was the most peaceful I'd felt in 3 years. Room 214 at the Quality Inn became my entire world for the next 2 weeks. Twin bed with a brown comforter. Small TV bolted to the dresser. Bathroom with a shower that dripped all night. The ice machine down the hall clunked every 20 minutes. I didn't mind any of it. For the first time in 3 years, no one knew where I was. No one could show up unannounced. No one could ask me for anything. I was invisible. And invisibility, I was learning, had its advantages. I spent the first 3 days moving my things from the house on Fairview Avenue. Not much in the end. Clothes filled 2 suitcases. Photos fit in a cardboard box. Marcus's reading glasses. His wedding ring, which I'd kept in my jewelry box. The wooden duck he carved the winter Kevin was born. 42 years old, that duck. The paint was faded now, but I could still see where Marcus had carefully painted the green head, the brown body. Kevin never asked where I'd gone, never called to see if I was safe. On October 28th, 3 days before the house sale was supposed to close, I drove past Fairview Avenue one last time. A lockbox hung on the front door. The lawn needed mowing. Marcus would have been out there with the push mower, the one he bought at Sears in 1994. 29 years he kept that mower running. I didn't cry. I'd done all my crying. Back at the motel, I opened my laptop, the one Marcus bought me for Christmas in 2019. He'd taught me how to use email, how to search the internet. You need to know this stuff, Dot, he'd said. World's changing. I logged into the bank account Marcus and I had shared, the one I still had access to, though there was only $847 left in it. I went through the transaction history, month by month going back 2 years. May 2021. Transfer to Kevin Sullivan, $3,000. Memo. Help with rent, August 2021. Transfer to Kevin Sullivan, $5,000. Memo. Car repair. November 2021. Transfer to Kevin Sullivan, $8,500. Memo. Emergency. I added it up. In 2 years, I'd transferred $47,300 to Kevin. Almost everything I had beyond my Social Security. Every time he'd called with some crisis. Every time he'd said, "Just this once, Mom," or "I'll pay you back." He never paid me back. I opened a new search window and typed, Spokane County Property Records. Found the house on Fairview Avenue. Pulled up the history. Property transferred to Kevin Michael Sullivan, April 2021. Original mortgage, $0. New mortgage taken out by Kevin Sullivan, July 2021, $175,000. My hands stopped moving on the keyboard. Kevin had taken out a mortgage. On a house that was paid off, a house Marcus had worked for 30 years, to own free and clear. I clicked deeper. Found the mortgage servicer, First National Bank of Spokane, clicked on their portal, tried to log in using the property address and Kevin's information. It didn't work, but there was a customer service number. I called, explained I was inquiring about the property I had interest in. The representative was helpful, too helpful. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I can't give you specific account information without authorization. However, I can tell you that property is currently in pre-foreclosure. 3 payments have been missed. If the account isn't brought current by January 10th, the property will go to public auction." January 10th, 2.5 months away. How much would it take to bring the account current? The total amount due, including late fees, is $6,147. I thanked her and hung up. Kevin had taken out $175,000 against the house. Probably told the bank he owned it outright, which he did, on paper. Then he'd stopped making payments the moment he listed it for sale. He'd been planning this for months, maybe longer. My phone rang. "Kevin." I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. "Mom, hey, I've been trying to reach you. I've been busy." "Yeah, well, listen, I need a favor. Small thing. Could you loan me $500? Just until next week. My paycheck got delayed." "What paycheck? You said you were between jobs." A silence. "I got something temporary." "Doesn't matter. Can you help me out or not?" "No." "What?" I said no, Kevin. "Are you serious? It's $500. You've got Social Security coming in. I have $840 in my bank account. That needs to last me until next month. I can't give you anything." "Jesus, Mom. Fine. Forget I asked." He hung up. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, holding the phone. My son, who I'd given $47,300 to over 2 years, who'd sold my house, who'd taken out a mortgage on property he'd promised was mine to live in forever. He was angry because I wouldn't give him $500. There was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole. A woman, maybe 60. Gray hair, kind face. I opened the door. "Hi," she said. "I'm Linda Kay. I'm in room 216. I noticed you've been here a couple weeks. Thought I'd introduce myself." "Dorothy Sullivan." "Nice to meet you, Dorothy. Are you here for work or—" "Personal situation." She nodded. Didn't press. "Well, if you ever want to grab coffee in the lobby, I'm usually down there in the mornings. It's terrible coffee, but it's hot." "Thank you. I might take you up on that." Linda became my first friend at the Quality Inn. We had coffee the next morning. She was a widow, too. Her husband died 4 years ago. Heart attack. Sudden like Marcus. One day he was there. The next he wasn't. "You have kids?" I asked. "2 daughters. They're good girls. Check on me every week. Visit once a month." She stirred sugar into her coffee. "You?" "1 son." I didn't elaborate. She didn't ask. The next day, November 1st, I went back to Robert Chen's office. "How are you holding up?" he asked. "Kevin asked me for $500 yesterday." Robert shook his head. "What did you tell him?" "That I'm broke." "Good. The longer he believes that, the clearer the picture becomes." He pulled out a new file. "I've been doing some digging, like you asked. Vanessa's financial situation is worse than we thought." He showed me printed bank statements. Transfers from the joint account Kevin and Vanessa shared. $3,200 to an account in Vanessa's name only. Another $4,100. Another $2,800. Over and over dating back 18 months. "Total amount diverted?" I asked. $45,000. "Kevin doesn't know." "I doubt it. She's been moving money in small chunks. Probably tells him their expenses are higher than they are." "And the gambling." Robert slid over another document. A credit report. Vanessa's name at the top. "She's maxed out 4 credit cards. Total debt, $127,000. Most of it from cash advances. There's a pattern." Large withdrawals followed by casino transactions. Silver Reef Casino, mostly. Some at Northern Quest. I stared at the numbers. $127,000? That's where the money went. That's why they sold the house. Not for a fresh start. Not to pay down debt. To feed Vanessa's addiction. Does Kevin know about this? I asked. No way to be sure. But my guess is no. Men like Kevin, who've lost control of their lives, often have no idea what their partners are doing financially. Men like Kevin. Robert leaned back in his chair. Weak men. Manipulated men. I'm sorry, Mrs. Sullivan. I know he's your son. He is. And you're right. Robert pulled out one more envelope. Marcus left this for you. He said to give it to you once you'd had time to process everything else. I opened it. Marcus's handwriting. Dated March 2021. Dorothy, my love. If you're reading this, you've seen what Kevin became. I'm sorry. I know how much it hurts. But I need you to understand something. This isn't your fault. You were a perfect mother. You gave him everything a child could need. Love, stability, opportunities. But somewhere along the way, Kevin decided life owed him something, and Vanessa reinforced that belief. She saw a man she could control, a man who'd let her make decisions, who'd agree to anything to avoid conflict. Together they became something neither would have been alone. Dangerous. Not evil. Just weak and greedy. Which, in its own way, is worse. You can't fix Kevin. Only he can fix himself. But you can protect yourself. And you can give him a chance to see what he's lost. That's what the trust is for. That's what the house transfer was for. To show him the consequences of his choices. I hope, by the time you read this, he's shown remorse. That he's realized what he's done. If he has, you'll know what to do. If he hasn't, you'll know that too. Trust yourself, Dot. Trust the woman I fell in love with 50 years ago. She's still in there. Strong. Capable. Not someone to be dismissed or discarded. I love you. Always. Marcus. I folded the letter carefully. Put it back in the envelope. What do you want to do? Robert asked. I want to wait. For what? For the house to go to auction. I want to see if Kevin tries to save it, or if he just lets it go. And if he lets it go, then I buy it back. Robert nodded slowly. That would require attending the auction, bidding against others. You'd need to be prepared to pay fair market value. I have $890,000. How much do you think the house will go for? In foreclosure? Probably $340,000 to $380,000. It needs work. The market's softened. Then I can afford it. You'd be taking a house your son sold away from him. No, I said. I'd be taking back what was always mine. I left Robert's office at noon, drove back to the Quality Inn. Linda was in the lobby, reading a paperback. Good day? She asked. Productive. Want to grab dinner later? There's a decent diner down the street. I'd like that. We went to Rusty's Diner at 6 p.m. Burgers and fries. Coffee in thick white mugs. Linda told me about her daughters. One was a teacher. The other worked in software. Both lived in Seattle now. She saw them at holidays. What about you? She asked. What's your situation? You don't have to tell me. But sometimes it helps to talk. So I told her. Not everything, but enough. The house, Kevin, Vanessa, the betrayal. Linda listened, didn't interrupt. When I finished, she reached across the table and squeezed my hand. You're stronger than you think, she said. And you're not alone. That night, lying in the motel bed listening to the ice machine clunk, I thought about Marcus's letter. Trust yourself, Dot. I was trying. God, I was trying. My phone buzzed at 11 p.m. A text from an unknown number. Mrs. Sullivan, this is First National Bank. Property at 2840 W Fairview Ave is scheduled for auction January 10th, 2024, 10 a.m. Spokane County Courthouse, Minimum bid $340,000. I saved the message, set a reminder in my phone. January 10th, 10 weeks away. I could wait 10 weeks. The 10 weeks between November and January passed slowly. I established a routine at the Quality Inn. Coffee with Linda every morning at 7. Breakfast at Rusty's Diner twice a week. Walks around the neighborhood when the weather allowed. I started attending a support group for widows at the community center on Thursday evenings. 8 women, all of us navigating life after loss. Kevin called 3 more times asking for money. Smaller amounts each time. $300, $150, $75. Each time I said no. Each time he got angrier. The last time he called me selfish. Said I was punishing him for doing what he had to do. I didn't argue, just hung up. Vanessa never called, not once. On December 18th, Robert Chen called me. I have news. Vanessa was placed on administrative leave from her job at Pacific Northwest Bank. Why? Internal investigation. Someone filed a complaint alleging financial misconduct, irregularities in account transfers. Someone. An anonymous tip to their compliance department, very detailed. Bank statements, transaction records, everything documented. I said nothing. The investigation will take weeks, Robert continued. But between you and me, she's done. Banks don't play around with this stuff. She'll be terminated before New Year's. Good. There's more. I ran another background check on Kevin. He's been served with a wage garnishment order. Old debt from when he had his real estate license. A client sued him for misrepresentation he lost. Owes $20,000. They're taking it directly from his paychecks now. What paychecks? He told me he was between jobs. He's working security at Valley Mall. Night shift. Has been since October. $16 an hour. So he'd lied about that too. Working but pretending he wasn't. Probably so I wouldn't expect him to help with anything. So he could keep playing the victim. Christmas came and went. Linda invited me to Seattle to meet her daughters. I declined. Spent the day in my motel room watching old movies on TV. I thought about Christmases past. Kevin as a little boy, 6 years old, opening presents under the tree Marcus and I had decorated. The ornaments we collected over the years, each one a memory. All of it still packed in boxes in my motel room closet. Kevin didn't call on Christmas, didn't text, nothing. On January 9th, the night before the auction, I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the ice machine, wondering if I was doing the right thing. Marcus's voice in my head. Trust yourself, Dot. At 8 a.m. on January 10th, I got dressed carefully. Gray slacks, white blouse, the navy blazer Marcus bought me for our 40th anniversary. I looked at myself in the bathroom mirror. 66 years old, gray hair, lines around my eyes. But my gaze was steady. I wasn't the woman I'd been 3 months ago. That woman was gone. Robert met me in the parking lot at 9:30. We walked into the Spokane County Courthouse together. The auction was being held in a large room on the second floor. 30, maybe 40 people crowded inside, investors mostly. Men in casual clothes with folders full of property listings. A few couples looking for deals. And Kevin. He stood near the back, wearing a wrinkled button-down shirt and jeans. His face was pale, unshaven. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. When he saw me, his eyes went wide. "Mom? What are you doing here?" "Same thing you are. You can't afford to bid on this. You're living in a motel." "Am I?" Understanding flickered across his face. Then confusion. Then something that looked like fear. The auctioneer stepped up to the podium. A short man with a thick mustache. He explained the rules. Minimum bid $340,000. Increments of $5,000. Cash or certified check only. Winner must pay 10% deposit immediately. Balance within 30 days. "First property," the auctioneer announced. 2847 West Fairview Avenue, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,740 square feet, as is condition. Do I hear opening bid of $340,000? I raised my hand. $340,000 from the lady in blue. Do I hear $345,000? A man near the front raised his hand. $345,000. Do I hear $350,000? I raised my hand again. This went on for 10 minutes. The investor dropped out at $365,000. Another bidder took over, back and forth. $370,000. $375,000. $380,000. Kevin was watching me now. Not the auctioneer, me. At $385,000, the other bidder shook his head, stepped back. $385,000 going once, going twice. The auctioneer's gavel paused in the air. Any other bids? Silence. Sold to bidder number 12 for $385,000. I felt nothing. No triumph. No satisfaction. Just certainty. Robert handled the paperwork. I wrote a check for $38,500. 10% down. The rest was due by February 9th. Kevin caught me in the hallway as I was leaving. Where did you get that money? That's not your concern. Like hell it's not. That's my house. Was your house. You sold it, remember? Then you let it go into foreclosure. I was trying to save it. The buyer backed out. The deal fell through. I couldn't make the mortgage payments. Because you took out a mortgage on a paid-off house. Because you gambled the money away. That wasn't me. That was Vanessa. You're married to her. You're responsible. His face crumpled. For a second, he looked like the little boy I'd raised. Lost. Scared. Mom, please. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I need help. Vanessa lost her job. We're 2 months behind on rent. If we get evicted, we have nowhere to go. You should have thought about that before you sold my house. It was never yours. Dad left it to me. Dad tested you, and you failed. I walked away. Robert followed. Behind us, I heard Kevin say something else, but I didn't turn around. We went to Robert's office, signed more papers. He explained the timeline. I'd have possession of the house by February 15th. Any occupants would be removed by the sheriff if necessary. Kevin and Vanessa are still living there, I said. I know. The sale to Cascade Holdings fell through when Kevin couldn't clear the title. He's been squatting. How did the buyer not follow through? Kevin never disclosed the mortgage to them. When they found out, they walked. Probably figured he was fraudulent, which he was. I drove back to the Quality Inn. It was 2 p.m. Linda was in the lobby. How did it go? She asked. I bought my house back. She hugged me. Good for you. That night I had dinner at Rusty's. Sat alone in a booth, eating meatloaf and mashed potatoes. My phone rang at 8 p.m. Kevin again. I answered. Mom. His voice was slurred. Drunk. Mom, please. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. Vanessa left. She took everything. Cleaned out our account. I have $300 to my name. Where are you? In the car, outside your motel. I looked up your address. I need to see you. Kevin, you're drunk. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, Mom. I don't have anyone else. I hung up, looked out the diner window. Across the parking lot, I could see the Quality Inn. And in the parking lot, Kevin's truck. An old Ford F-150, rusty wheel wells, cracked windshield. He was sitting in the driver's seat, phone pressed to his ear. I paid my bill, walked across the parking lot, knocked on his window. He rolled it down. His eyes were red. He'd been crying. Get out, I said. What? Get out of the truck. You're not driving anywhere like this. He stumbled out. I caught his arm, steadied him. Come on. I walked him to my room, sat him down on the edge of the bed. He smelled like whiskey and desperation. Where's Vanessa? I asked. Gone. She left yesterday. Said she couldn't do this anymore. Took her stuff and left. I don't even know where she went. Do you know about the money she stole from your joint account? He looked up. What? $45,000 over 18 months. transferred to her personal account. Did you know about the gambling debt? $127,000 on credit cards you didn't know she had? His face went white. No, I didn't know any of that. She's been using you, Kevin, for years, and you let her. I loved her. Love doesn't look like this. He put his head in his hands. Sobbed. Great heaving sobs that shook his whole body. I sat down next to him. Didn't touch him. Just sat there. I'm sorry, Mom, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I don't know how it got this bad. I don't know how I became this person. Neither do I. He looked at me. Can you forgive me? I thought about that question. Thought about Marcus. About the house. About the $40,300 I'd given Kevin over 2 years. About the lies. The cruelty. The moment he laughed and said I'd be begging for money for pads. I don't know, I said honestly. What do I do now? You figure out who you want to be, and then you become that person. I don't even know where to start. Start by getting sober. Start by taking responsibility. Start by proving you're capable of change. He nodded, wiped his face with his sleeve. Can I stay here tonight? Just tonight. I'll sleep on the floor. I looked at my son. Broken. Lost. Still wearing the wrinkled shirt from the auction. One night, I said. Tomorrow you find somewhere else. Thank you. I gave him a blanket from the closet, a pillow from the bed. He curled up on the floor next to the bathroom. Within 10 minutes he was asleep. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The ice machine clunked down the hall. Marcus's voice in my head. Somewhere inside, he's still the boy we raised. Maybe. Maybe not. But I'd find out. Kevin woke up at 6 a.m. on the motel room floor. I heard him groan. Heard the bathroom door close. The sound of him being sick. When he came out 20 minutes later, his face was gray. Coffee? I asked. He nodded. We walked to Rusty's diner in silence. The morning was cold. January in Spokane. Our breath made clouds in the air. Kevin had slept in his clothes. He looked homeless. Maybe he was. Inside the diner, we sat across from each other in a booth by the window. The waitress brought coffee. Kevin wrapped both hands around his mug like he was trying to absorb the heat. I can't believe Vanessa's gone, he said finally. Did you love her? Really love her? He thought about that. I don't know anymore. Maybe at first. When we met, she seemed so confident, so sure of herself. I wasn't like that. After Dad died, after I lost my license, I felt like I was drowning. She always had a plan, always knew what to do next, even when the plan was to steal from you. I didn't know about that. You should have. You should have been paying attention. He looked down at his coffee. You're right. The waitress came back, took our order, eggs and toast for both of us. When she left, Kevin spoke again. Mom, where did you get the money for the house? Your father left it for me. What do you mean? He created a trust before he died. He moved money into it. A lot of money. He knew you might sell the house. He was preparing for it. Kevin's face went pale. Dad knew. He suspected. He saw how Vanessa was with you, how she talked about money, about me. He wanted to make sure I'd be protected. How much money? Enough. And you let me think you were broke. You let me think you were struggling. Because your father told me to. He wanted you to see who you'd become, without the safety net, without someone to bail you out. Kevin put his head in his hands. God. Dad must have hated me. No. He loved you. That's why he did all this. Because he hoped you'd figure it out before it was too late. Is it too late? I didn't answer right away. The waitress brought our food. I ate slowly. Kevin didn't touch his eggs. I don't know, I said finally. That depends on what you do next. What do you want me to do? I want you to see something. After breakfast, we're going to Robert Chen's office. There's a video your father made. You need to watch it. We finished eating, I paid the bill. We drove separately to Robert's office downtown. Kevin's truck struggled to start. I wondered when he'd last changed the oil. Robert was waiting for us. He shook Kevin's hand formally. No warmth in it. "Mr. Sullivan, your mother asked me to show you something your father recorded." We sat in Robert's office, Kevin in the chair next to me. Robert turned his laptop screen toward us, pressed play. Marcus appeared, thin, gray, sitting in this same office 3 years ago. Kevin made a sound when he saw him, almost a sob. "Kevin," Marcus said on the screen, "if you're watching this, it means things went the way I feared they might. It means you sold the house your mother was living in. It means you chose money over family." Kevin's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. "I'm not angry, son. I'm disappointed. But more than that, I'm worried about you. You've let Vanessa make all your decisions. You've stopped thinking for yourself. You've become weak. And weakness, in a man, is dangerous. Not because weak men are evil, but because they're easily used." A tear ran down Kevin's face. "I set up a trust for your mother. $890,000. She has access to all of it. The house transfer was a test. I wanted to see if you'd honor the promise we made, that she could live there as long as she wanted. You failed that test. But here's the thing, Kevin. Failure isn't permanent. You can still fix this. You can still become the man I raised you to be. But it starts with taking responsibility. It starts with admitting what you've done. And it starts with putting someone else first for once in your life." Marcus coughed, took a sip of water. "Your mother will decide what happens next, whether she helps you or not, whether she forgives you or not. That's her choice. But know this, she has the power now. She has the resources, and she doesn't need you. If you want a relationship with her, you have to earn it. You have to prove you're worth it." The video ended. The screen went black. Kevin sat frozen, tears streaming down his face. "Dad knew everything," he whispered. "Not everything," Robert said. He didn't know about Vanessa's gambling or the money she stole. Those were new developments, but he knew enough. Robert opened his desk drawer, pulled out an envelope. "Your father left this for you. He said to give it to you only if you showed genuine remorse, if you asked for your mother's forgiveness." Kevin took the envelope with shaking hands, opened it. I couldn't see what was inside from my angle, but I watched Kevin's face as he read, watched him break down completely, shoulders shaking, gasping for breath. "What does it say?" I asked quietly. Kevin handed me the letter, Marcus's handwriting. "Kevin, if you're reading this, you failed me. You failed your mother. You failed yourself. But here's what I learned in 68 years. Failure is only permanent if you let it be. I failed plenty of times, lost jobs, made bad investments, said things I regretted. But I learned from those failures. I became better because of them. You can too. But first you have to admit what you've done. Take responsibility. No excuses. No blaming Vanessa. No blaming circumstances. You made choices. Own them. And then make different choices. Better ones. Your mother is the strongest person I've ever known. She raised you mostly alone while I worked too much. She sacrificed everything for our family. If you want her in your life, you treat her with respect. You listen to her. You honor her. And if you can't do that, you stay away. Because she deserves better than a son who treats her like an inconvenience. I love you. I always will. But love isn't enough. You have to earn trust. You have to earn respect. Start today. Dad. Kevin folded the letter carefully, put it back in the envelope. "I'm sorry, Mom," he said. "I'm so sorry for everything." Before I could respond, Robert's phone rang. He looked at the screen, frowned. "It's the Spokane Police Department. I gave them this number as an emergency contact." he answered. Robert Chen speaking. He listened. His frown deepened. Yes, she's here with me now. We'll be right there. He hung up, looked at me. There's been a break-in at the Fairview property. Someone called it in. The police are on scene now. My stomach dropped. Vanessa. We drove to the house, 3 of us in Robert's car. Kevin silent in the back seat. When we pulled up, 2 police cars were in the driveway. The front door was open. An officer met us on the porch. Mrs. Sullivan. That's me. We received a call from a neighbor. Said they saw someone forcing entry through the back door. When we arrived, we found a woman inside. She claims she lives here. She doesn't, I said. This is my property. I bought it at auction last week. The woman says her name is Vanessa Sullivan. Says she's married to the previous owner. Kevin stepped forward. That's my wife, soon-to-be ex-wife. The officer nodded. She's in the living room. We need to determine if this is a domestic situation or a breaking and entering. We went inside. Vanessa was sitting on the couch. My couch. The one Marcus and I bought in 2003. She looked different. Hair unwashed. No makeup. Wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. I'd never seen her dressed down before. When she saw us, her face hardened. What are you doing here? She demanded. This is my house, I said. Like hell it is. Kevin sold this house. We got $485,000 for it. And Kevin took out a mortgage he couldn't pay. The house went to foreclosure. I bought it back. Vanessa laughed. That same sharp, breaking glass laugh. With what money? You're living in a motel. With the money my husband left me. $890,000. The laugh died. Vanessa stared at me. Then at Kevin. You knew about this. I just found out today, Kevin said. And you didn't think to tell me? We could have used that money. We could have saved the house. It's not your money, I said. It was never your money. Vanessa stood up. I noticed then that she was holding something. A wooden box. I recognized it immediately. The jewelry box Marcus gave me on our 25th anniversary. Carved cherry wood. The key was in my dresser drawer at the motel. Put that down, I said. These are family heirlooms. Kevin should have them. Those are my mother's rings. My grandmother's pearls. They're not yours to take. The officer stepped forward. Ma'am, I need you to put the box down. Vanessa clutched it tighter. Kevin, tell them. Tell them we have a right to something. Kevin looked at her. Really looked at her. Maybe for the first time in years. No, we don't, he said quietly. We don't have a right to anything. Are you serious, after everything I did for you? I married you. I supported you when you lost your license. I stayed with you when you had nothing. You gambled away $127,000. You stole $45,000 from our account. You used me. Vanessa's face twisted. You're pathetic. You've always been pathetic. Your father knew it. Your mother knows it. I'm the only one who pretended otherwise. Then why did you come back? Kevin asked. If I'm so pathetic, why are you here? She didn't answer. Just held the jewelry box tighter. The officer reached for it. Ma'am, final warning. Vanessa threw the box. Not at the officer. At me. I didn't have time to react. It hit my chest. The lid flew open. Rings scattered across the floor. The pearl necklace broke. White beads rolling in every direction. Kevin caught Vanessa's arm as she tried to run past us. Held her until the officer could put handcuffs on. Breaking and entering, the officer said. Possible theft. Assault. They took her away. Kevin and I stood in the living room of my house. Our house. Marcus's house. Pearls scattered at our feet. I'll help you pick these up, Kevin said. We knelt on the floor together, collected the pearls one by one. There were 43. I counted. Mom, Kevin said, I need to ask you something. What? Do you think I can change, really change? Or is it too late? I looked at my son, 42 years old, on his knees, picking up pearls from his grandmother's broken necklace. I don't know, I said, but I'm willing to find out. 2 months passed. Vanessa was sentenced in March. The judge wasn't sympathetic. Breaking and entering. Attempted theft. Assault. She got 18 months probation, 200 hours community service, and in order to repay the $45,000 she'd stolen from the joint account, Kevin signed the divorce papers without contest. She didn't fight it. Last I heard, she'd moved to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, working as a receptionist at a dental office. No more designer purses, no more casino trips. Kevin was different now. Not fixed, not healed, but different. The day after Vanessa's arrest, he'd shown up at the Quality Inn with a duffel bag. "I need help, Mom," he'd said. "Real help, not money. I need to figure out why I let this happen." I'd called around, found a program in Spokane Valley, not for addiction to substances, but for codependency, for people who'd lost themselves in toxic relationships. It cost $4,200 for 6 weeks. Residential? Kevin couldn't afford it. I paid. "This is a loan," I told him. "You'll pay me back. Every dollar. I will. I promise." He checked in on February 3rd. I visited once a week. We sat in a common room with plastic chairs and motivational posters on the walls. The first few visits, he barely talked, just sat there, hands folded, staring at the floor. By week 3, something shifted. "They're teaching us about boundaries," he said. "About how we give away our power to other people, how we let them define us. And I did that. With Vanessa, with my job, even with you, Mom. I let everyone else decide who I was instead of deciding for myself. What are you going to do about it?" "I don't know yet, but I'm working on it." While Kevin was in the program, I moved back into the house on Fairview Avenue. My house. It felt strange at first, walking through rooms that Vanessa had occupied, seeing the changes she'd made. The walls she'd painted gray, the modern light fixtures she'd installed, everything cold and impersonal. I hired contractors, ripped out the gray paint, went back to warm colors, soft yellow in the kitchen, pale blue in the living room, the same colors Marcus and I had chosen 30 years ago. I replaced the light fixtures with ones that matched the house's age. 1987. Simple. Classic. The renovation cost $68,000. I paid cash from the trust. I threw away everything Vanessa had left behind. Clothes in the closet, makeup in the bathroom, a stack of fashion magazines on the coffee table. All of it went into garbage bags. All of it went to the dump. In the master bedroom, I found photos of her and Kevin, their wedding, vacations. I looked at Kevin's face in those pictures. He was smiling, but his eyes were empty, like he was performing happiness instead of feeling it. I threw those away, too. Linda helped me pack up Marcus's things from the motel. "You're really doing this," she said, moving back. "It's my home. Even after everything that happened here. Especially after everything that happened here." On March 15th, Kevin completed the program. I picked him up in my Honda Civic. He looked thinner, clean-shaven. His eyes were clearer. "How do you feel?" I asked. "Scared, but ready." "Ready for what?" "To start over." He moved into a studio apartment on Francis Avenue. $650 a month. 2 rooms and a bathroom. He got a job as a maintenance worker at Riverside Condominiums. 40 hours a week, $2,400 a month. It wasn't much, but it was honest work. Every Sunday he came to the house for dinner. I cooked. He helped clean up. We didn't talk about Vanessa, didn't talk about the money, didn't talk about the past. We talked about small things, the weather, his job, a book he was reading. It was awkward, stilted, like learning to talk to a stranger, but we tried. In early April, Kevin showed up on a Saturday morning instead of Sunday. "Is everything okay?" I asked. Yeah, I wanted to ask you something. He shifted his weight, nervous. The garage, the detached one in back. You're not using it for anything, right? Just storage. What if I converted it into a small apartment? I'd do the work myself, pay for materials. It would give me a place to live that's not so expensive, and I'd be close if you needed anything. I looked at him, my son, asking permission, not demanding, not assuming. Why? Because I want to prove I can change. I want to show you I'm serious about being better. And because... He paused. Because I miss being part of your life. I thought about Marcus, about the third envelope Robert had given me, the one I'd tucked away in my dresser drawer, for when you forgive the boy. Okay, I said, but there are rules. Anything. You pay rent, $400 a month. You keep the space clean. You don't bring anyone here without asking me first. And you contribute to the house. Yard work, repairs, whatever needs doing. Deal. He started working on the garage the next week. Tore out old shelving, installed insulation, drywalled the interior, put in a small bathroom and kitchenette. It took him 2 months working evenings and weekends. I watched sometimes from the kitchen window. Watched him measure boards, hammer nails. The same way Marcus used to work. Methodical, focused. On June 1st, Kevin moved into the converted garage. I helped him carry in a mattress, a small desk, a lamp. He didn't have much. Most of his and Vanessa's furniture had been sold to pay debts. Thank you, Mom, he said, for giving me this chance. Don't waste it. I won't. July came. Hot. Spokane summers are brutal. Kevin installed a window air conditioning unit in his space. On weekends, he worked in the yard, mowed the lawn, trimmed the hedges, fixed the fence Marcus had built in 1995. One Saturday morning, I looked out the kitchen window and saw him digging in the garden. He'd bought rose bushes, red ones, Marcus's favorites. I put on my shoes, walked outside. What are you doing? Kevin looked up, dirt on his hands. Planting roses. I remember Dad loved them. I thought. He didn't finish. Didn't need to. I knelt down next to him. Here. Let me help. We planted 6 bushes together, dug the holes deep, added fertilizer, watered them thoroughly. My knees ached by the time we finished. My back hurt. But it felt good. Felt right. You think they'll survive? Kevin asked. If we take care of them. He nodded. Understood I wasn't just talking about roses. That evening, after Kevin went back to his apartment, I sat on the porch swing. The one Marcus built when Kevin was 10. The chains needed oil. They squeaked when I moved. I thought about the past 8 months. Everything that had happened since that October morning when I'd opened the property transfer notice. The betrayal, the pain, the discovery of the trust, the auction, Vanessa's arrest, Kevin's slow, uncertain transformation. I thought about Marcus, about his careful planning, his love, his understanding that Kevin might fail, but still deserve a chance at redemption. I went inside, opened my dresser drawer, found the 3rd envelope. For when you forgive the boy. I held it in my hands, ran my finger along the sealed edge. I could open it, read Marcus's final words, his blessing, his permission to let go of the anger. But I wasn't ready. Not yet. I tucked the envelope back into the drawer, closed it gently. I ainda know, Marcus, I whispered. I ainda know. Outside, through the window, I could see the converted garage. A light was on. Kevin's shadow moved across the curtain. He was home. For now. Whether he stayed or not. Whether he truly changed or not. Whether I could ever fully trust him again. Those were questions without answers. But for the first time in 8 months, I wasn't alone in this house. Wasn't eating dinner by myself every night. Wasn't listening to silence fill the rooms where my family used to live. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. But it was something, and maybe, in time, something would be enough. I sat down at the kitchen table, poured myself a glass of iced tea. Through the window I watched the sun set over the backyard, over the roses Kevin had planted, over the life I was slowly rebuilding. Marcus's voice in my head one last time. Trust yourself, Dot. I was trying. God, I was trying.